Okay, so our group consists of myself, Matt Judkins, Will Griffiths, Ryan DePapo. Will be presenting the Republican candidate for governor, Mr. Les Otten. We have the white sheets already that they handed out, so there's kind of a brief resume introduction with those, but I'll go over some, like a little bit of a bio. Real quick, grew up in New Jersey, just down the street from Tom. Went to Ithaca College, graduated from there. After graduation, became an entrepreneur. Started American Ski Companies shortly after that, a pretty successful company. 2002, for your sports fans, purchased a minority share of the Boston Red Sox. Pretty cool thing, won 2 World Series during his tenure there. 2007, sold his shares in the Red Sox and started his own company regarding within renewable energy sources called Maine Energy Systems, is that correct? And this year, 2010, running for the Republican candidate for governor of Maine. So that's a brief introduction of Mr. Les Otten. Is that all set?
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. This is a great opportunity for us to get together for a couple reasons. One, I decided that I wanted to go on a year-long job interview, and I'm interviewing for the job of working for all of you. And my feeling in my life is that government is supposed to work for the people. And for the first 38 years of my business life, I was the people. And all of a sudden, I changed hats, and I became a politician. And I became part of what I had been trying to work with in business for 38 years. So tonight, I'm in front of you no longer as a member of the general public. I've changed roles, and I'm in front of you as a person that's looking for a job to actually work for you in government. I'm quite passionate about my reasons for doing it. But I'd like to start off, if I can, talk to you a little bit about maybe not what you might expect, but it's important for me to start and tell you who my hero was. And I'd like to discuss it because I think some of the most important people in our lives are not sports figures that let us down, or movie stars that philander, or politicians that get themselves in trouble, but perhaps the most important people in our lives are people that are close to us, people that come from everyday walks of life that become important. And my hero was born in 1886. And his father and uncle were butchers. And at the age of 16 in 1902, he graduated from high school and he went out into the real world to get a job. And the job that he had was that of a steel salesman. By 1906, he realized that he could start his own retail business of selling steel, and he did. And 31 years later, he was employing 5,000 people and had the largest steel mill in what became Eastern Germany. My hero had 2 things going against him. The first was that he was a Jew. The second was that Adolf Hitler came to his office and said that he was to make bombs for the German war machine. My hero said, no, I'm not going to do that. I lived through World War I with Bismarck. Didn't go well when Germany tried to take over the world. I get the same sense that that's happening now. I don't want to do it. 2 strikes. Jail. There were still members of the German government, magistrates, judges, good Christians, if you will, who came to his rescue. And he got out 48 hours after he went in. But he fled Germany with his family. Left his father in Switzerland because he was too old to travel. The family sewed jewels into the lapels of their garments and money into the linings of their coats, and they bribed the Swiss guards to let them into Switzerland. And from there they went to Holland. Some of them lived through World War II in basements in Holland, hiding. My hero was lucky he caught passage to Canada and was actually able to ship some of his personal items to Canada with him. But when he got to Canada, he was distraught because he found out he was now a man without a country. Couldn't prove who he was. So he went to Mexico. In Mexico, he established himself with his papers, went back to Canada, claimed his goods, and by the mid-1940s had gained entrance into the United States and became an American citizen. Now, here's a man that had lost everything in life, who came from nothing, who had risked all, who had built something, but due to the circumstances that surrounded his life, he lost everything. In 1947, he met a nice woman. They got married in 1948 and had a child in 1949. I haven't figured it out by now. I'm talking about my father and his life. And the two most important things that I learned from my father and his life was, number one, when you get knocked down, you stand back up again. And two, regardless of personal cost, you do what's right. And that's what I grew up with. Now, I didn't play catch with my dad after school or on weekends. And my dad never saw me ski, except on a piece of film. And he went to 1/4 of one soccer game. Yet he lived to 99 3/4. He died when I was 35. He saw me become successful in business. But dinner was served in my house at 6 o'clock every night before I went away to school. And I'm sure it was 6 o'clock after I went away to school as well. Not 5:59, not 6:01, but 6 o'clock. Because you're talking about a German here who defined the word German. Things were done on time, on budget, and they were done right. At 6 o'clock every night, the news was turned on the radio at the dinner table. Shocking maybe to some families, but in our family that was the norm. And for 15 minutes we listened to WQXR out of New York City, and we heard the world's financial and news reports. And the radio was then turned off, and we spent the rest of the dinner hour talking about what was going on in the world. And we had deep discussions. And by the time I was 13 or 14, when I would come home with my long hair, I would be told to go to the barber and I would rebel, but we would still talk about the world events at the dinner table. Now, that gives you a little bit of an inkling as to how I spent the first years of my life. My bio that I have in front of you has the rest of it, and there are more opinions about what I've done and succeeded at and not succeeded at than fill a number of novels or books. Well, suffice it to say that I've been lucky enough to do a lot.